Greetings and felicitations.
Hip hip hurrah, tally ho.
Hey, my little Georgia Peach.
Hey Puddin'.
Let's talk about Star Trek mugs, something that both of us have been collecting for decades. Now, the first mug that I ever encountered was this plastic mug. When I was a little kid, and we're talking preschool, kindergarten, I would go to my grandmother's house, my father's parents, and when she'd make me cereal in the morning, which was usually Fruit Loops, I would drink. I'd say, I want my milk in a Star Trek mug. Now, normally, if I had cereal, I wouldn't drink milk with it, but I desperately wanted to drink out of that Star Trek mug with my cereal. So, that's my first exposure to Star Trek mugs. Little did I know that I would be collecting Star Trek mugs for the rest of my life. This was a very unique era because there was a lot of Star Trek items that were geared towards children.
Yeah, these are very light plastic, so you know they're made for children. But it's really cool looking, right? And you said you loved it as a
Oh,
kid.
I just love staring at the pictures, of course. Kirk with his orange tunic on. Absolutely loved it. Now, when we talk about Star Trek mugs, oftentimes most fans think of this collection. That is, these mugs were advertised non-stop in Starlog magazine in conjunction with the plates.
Yeah, you can tell that's a picture of the plate. I mean, it's the same picture they used on it. And so they put the picture on one side of the mug and the person's name on the back. And then, of course, it's got all the information on the bottom. So you know it's one of the collector plates or mugs.
Mm-hmm. And I absolutely love these. I remember the first mug that I got because they sold them both as a set and as individuals. But the first one that I got as an individual mug was Dr. McCoy. And you got this certificate. They used to make this Hamilton collection. They actually convinced people that this was an heirloom that you could pass on from generation to generation. This is limited. They would brag about being limited firing. Well, everything when you think about it is limited. They don't make things forever. And this is set 2, so it was the 7 main characters. I think it's curious that they put Kirk in his dress uniform, and then the 8th one was Beam Me Up. And in fact, because I bought not only the collector's set but as individual mugs, the individual I keep as one of my shaving mugs. And I love this one because it shows the entire main cast. This is beautiful. Beam us down, Scotty. What's your overall feeling of this set of mugs?
I love the set. I never had this before until we got married. But it's beautiful artwork. I mean, at least they took the time to make something that looks good. So they put a good design on it.
Now we are going to contrast that Beam Up mug with this Beam Up mug. Now, when I started dating you, I realized that you were a Star Trek collector as well, including mugs. And this is one of the mugs that you used on a fairly regular basis. You would rotate your mugs around. Tell us a story about this mug.
This is one of those special mugs where you put a hot beverage in it, and it's supposed to make the people beam away so basically the people, well, they're supposed to be clear at the beginning. You put in the hot beverage and the people disappear like they beamed off. And it's messed up now because this mug is so old that like now all you see is this picture and that's it. But it was pretty cool when I first got it.
And I remember I was brewing tea for you when I was dating you at your place, and you said, don't mess up that mug because if you do, you might not be my boyfriend anymore. And being such a big Star Trek fan, I was knowing that you were such a big Star Trek fan and precious of your collectibles, that I was actually nervous. You might stop dating me if I messed up that mug. So I've always been real careful about that mug.
Yeah, good thing too. For these mugs, they said you're not supposed to put them in the dishwasher or the microwave in order to keep it. But since it still just stopped working over time. But it's still a nice mug.
So this is a mug that we got when we got married at Treklanta in 2016. So one of the ladies that was assisting us with our wedding preparation, Sue Lynn, she ended up telling everybody that went to our wedding, please don't give them gifts. They're adults, they have everything they need. But if you want to get them something, please support the dealers in the dealers room and buy something from dealers, which I thought was a fantastic idea because you always want to support the dealers at Trek conventions when to buy things because that helps the convention in the long run. And this is one of the gifts that we received. How would you describe this mug?
Yeah, this one was neat too. So what's different about it is this little delta actually moves. So it's a separate piece that they stuck in the mug, and this one has a cutout. It's hard to see in the video, but there's a little indentation in the mug, so it's a little more awkward to drink out
It's a
of.
3D mug. If you feel around it, it's interesting. In
Right.
the back has a beautiful picture on it.
That's it. So yeah, this one's a nice mug. This one's heavier than a lot of the others too.
So later on in the 90s, maybe even 2000, no, 1991, I'm correct. They reissued the style of these mugs, the Hamilton plate mugs, into a larger format. So let me show you this in comparison. So it's a much larger mug, a larger handle, wider. I mean, what'd you think about this series of reissues?
This one's nice too. So they wait. Let's compare. Okay, they added the word Star Trek to the bottom.
Because some people don't know that Mr. Spock is in Star Trek.
Well, but they changed the side of the handle too, right?
Yes.
You're holding the handle now. You can see Spock on the newer one.
Oh, yeah. I see what you're saying. Yes. Yes, the side of the handle is different. So, just a variation on the theme. So, this is a mug of your boyfriend, and I've noticed that your mug collection focuses in on your boyfriend. So, can you tell us a little bit about this piece?
Well, I just like Spock. But this one's interesting because it's a cutout of his head. This one's a bust as well as a mug.
Uh huh. You keep this in your office. I think this makes a great planter, too.
Yeah, we have so many mugs. Yeah, it's not like we drink 20 cups of coffee at the same time. Yeah.
But if you notice this one, it's totally made for the collectible market because it's kind of awkward to drink out of. And if you turn it upside down, it kind of looks like the Delta. This is a fan-made mug, which I admire that primarily fans of the 70s and 80s would make things like this. Because there just wasn't enough Star Trek memorabilia around, so people started being more creative.
So they used a nice picture of Spock, and it's just, yeah, that's it. It's just, they just put a picture on it. And it was a nice mug to begin with. Very stylish.
Since we're on the subject of fan-made mugs, this is another one that we acquired. I think this is interesting because not only did the fan paint on this mug, but if we spin it around, it got autographed by George Takei.
Imagine that. Like they took it to. Oh, look. So this was a mug from a con, Archon 1, Little Rock, Arkansas. And so George was probably a guest at that con and signed the mug.
Uh-huh.
Isn't that cool?
It is, 1982.
Another mug from a con, United Trekkers, Arkansas. Or this was a fan group we discovered. It was a Star Trek fan club that existed back then.
And they would work closely with the United Federation of Trekkers outside of Memphis, Tennessee, which makes sense. Another fan-made mug from the same collection of this person. Again, there were so few Star Trek memorabilia in the 70s and 80s that fans would just make their own. It wasn't until the 90s when it started getting the outpouring of merchandising.
But the idea of having a mug with your name on it. So this was a Star Trek mug with the fan's name on it.
Alright, speaking of fan-made mugs, we got this as a Christmas gift a few years ago from our friend Teresa in Atlanta, Georgia area. Tell us a little bit about this.
This one's a nice mug. So this is the Klingon symbol. I mean, the person who made it just bought a mug and stuck this on it. You can feel it and tell that it's a sticker on it.
I love it.
It's very nice. I think it looks Christmassy, like, hey, have a Klingon Christmas.
Yeah. And it's a tall mug too. So when I make your really tall coffee drinks, that's what I put it in. Now, I had this travel mug for a number of years, and when I was dating my now wife, she noticed it and said, "Nice mug." So this is my go-to, and it ended up being sort of a pick-up conversation piece because you like seeing me with this mug.
Yeah, it's a nice travel mug because you like to take coffee with you everywhere you go. So
Yeah, and it's very durable. I've had it for well over a decade. Speaking of travel mugs,
so this one's a heavier mug. And this is from our friend Lois. She gave it to us at Dragon Con. But this is a nice travel mug too. And it's got this one has the removable lid. It's a rubber lid, and the ceramic mug is very heavy.
yeah, you could bludgeon someone with it. Now, this is a beautiful set of tankards, which I remember seeing these when I was younger, and I viewed, like when I was in second grade, third grade, I said, when I'm an adult, this is what I'm going to drink out of. Because these were out of the normal mug price range. These were viewed as collectible mugs back in the day, and they were produced in 86, I would have been a teenager by that time.
So very nice. They've got all the information on the back. Yeah, and very good artwork on them.
Uh-huh. This one, my brother, when he was younger, had something called a Shatner Shrine, and it was a curio cabinet filled with everything dealing with William Shatner. So it was T.J. Hooker, Star Trek, anything you could think of. He had a pair of William Shatner's used loafers, and this is one of the things that I remember seeing in his Shatner Shrine. Beautiful set of mugs. And as we said before, once you got into the 90s, there was so much to collect. It was virtually impossible to keep up with everything because they were backtracking on everything that they missed for the past 20 to 30 years. So this is a supersized mug. This is a big boy.
Yeah, another official mug, the crew of the USS Enterprise.
And it's limited, only 3,000 of them made. That was something I did in the 90s, making you feel this was like the earliest way of FOMO is if I don't get it now, there's going to be over 2,999 fans that want it, so I gotta get it first. And you have these ginormous tankards as well. What do you think about these larger formats?
They're nice. I mean, these are very heavy, and I assume these are just collectibles. You wouldn't really drink out of them, but you could. And I like the gold plating too.
It's not microwave safe.
Right.
Like you would put something this ginormous in the microwave. With what, hot chocolate? Imagine having a big hot chocolate like that.
Oh, I could though.
You get a bellyache.
But look at this. Yeah. I mean, it's very nice putting the delta there and having the little gold trim on the top and bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks good.
You're right. So this is a tankard that we don't have in the box. Other ones we have sealed in boxes, but this one This was a kind of a pricey series. They were really going bananas by this point, knowing that Star Trek fans, we will buy anything. The paperwork inside this one. And if you notice, the etchings aren't limited to TOS.
Oh, look at that. All the symbols. Very nice.
Cardassians and Ferengi, Vulcan, Borg.
And it's metal. Or at least the lid is metal.
Yes.
And a very nice picture from the Doomsday Machine.
And this was, I remember at this point, it was, you want to talk about inundation. It was just getting so out of hand in the mid to late 90s with producing anything and everything of Star Trek. Because they know that we would buy it. Another large size mug produced in 1984, again in conjunction with plates. This happened to be a common thing. Let's make a plate, let's make a mug. Larger size one. It was comparable to that Spock one that we showed earlier. If you were a kid in the 70s or 80s, I could almost guarantee that you had some sort of TV tray. Did you used to have these style TV trays when you were a kid?
Actually, my parents didn't use these, no. So
Did
not all kids
Wait,
had
did
them.
you have the large size one?
They didn't use TV trays at all. Oh, wait. Oh, okay. I do remember some bamboo TV trays. Yeah.
Okay. Because during this era, somebody somehow, some way had a sort of TV tray. I know my grandparents had the upright ones. They would put their medications on it next to their chairs. So they'd get up in the morning, they'd sit in the chair, and they'd have the full-size one with medicine and knickknacks and odds and ends. My brother and I had these type of ones that my mother would serve us breakfast in bed, and it was these folding style. So you put it on your lap. It wasn't as convenient in the living room. And we tried using this as adults, and this is way too small for an adult lap. But
Which is too bad.
yeah, if it was adult size, would you like this?
Yeah, I would.
Because
Yeah.
I serve you breakfast in bed on the weekends, but it has to be on an adult size tray. Because once you start putting the plates and everything on it, normal flatware and plates don't fit on it. But what does fit on it is you have this. You have your Star Trek motion picture, so you might separate everything. Like there's your Salisbury steak, and there's your corn, and there's your mashed potatoes, and what else does this go along with? Oh, look at that. You could put a cereal bowl there. Just very similar to the other cereal bowl that we showed you. This one is your little juice glass. And what else? To round it out is for our mug collection. What do you think about this set? I did not have this set. I did not see this in the store. If I did, I would beg my mother for it. What do you think about this set?
No, I don't think I ever saw this set either. I mean, yeah, I would have loved it as a kid. Yeah. And I mean, the only motion picture stuff I had was just very limited, like the stuff from McDonald's. I mean, so yeah, I don't know where someone could have gotten this, but it's really cool.
As always, Star Trek always struggled with distribution at this time period. The few motion picture things we did have were all the action figures, but then not even all. We didn't have the aliens. We couldn't find the aliens. We had the Enterprise bridge. Variety of things that were, I'd say, more common, just a little bit more eclectic. But I love it. I love the graphics. As an adult collector, this is something that we had to have for our collection. Then they made a movie series of mugs in the 90s, and they just started making a bunch of the movies. This is Star Trek 2. One of my gripes about Star Trek 2, I love Star Trek 2, but because the merchandising pretty much failed on the motion picture, they were left with a lot of backstock. They didn't make much stuff for Star Trek 2, so anything of Star Trek 2, even now, I want to buy it. But I thought this poster was so lame. This is one of the lamest movie posters of all the Star Trek movie posters. It's just a bunch of clips from the movie around the edges and then a logo. It's Star Trek 2 though, so have to have it. In that same vein, here's the Star Trek V mug. Um, it's such a ridiculous movie that I think it's hysterical. And I find this more of a novelty getting Star Trek V stuff. Just like this. I mean, it's not really a mug, but it does have a plastic tumbler inside of it. This was the Captain's Commemorative Gift Pack that was signed by William Shatner. This is like a prequel to watching the movie. You got this gift pack you could order, and look at that. It has the Star Trek V mug in there.
Yeah, they made more merchandise for the odd movies, which are the ones that were
I just don't understand what goes through their heads. Like these are, they made these later on, but then it was just so odd they didn't have Star Trek 4 stuff like this, but Star Trek 5 they did. Maybe I missed the Star Trek 4 stuff. If there is, let me know. Leave it in the comments. I was excited when Star Trek had its 20th anniversary. I thought it was totally amazing that I was a fan of a show that was around for 20 years. This was produced by the official Star Trek fan club. Yes, I was a subscriber to the official Star Trek fan club. Dan Madsen, he produced such a wonderful magazine. That's where I was getting my Star Trek news before the internet. Star Trek, the official fan club, and Starlog magazine. What were your feelings around this time period, 1986, being a Star Trek fan?
I was still excited. I think it was wasn't it when 4 came out?
Yeah.
But I mean, as far as merchandise, I don't remember seeing a lot, and I don't really remember seeing much about Star Trek's 20th anniversary. But it was still a good time because because we were immersed in the movies and
Yes.
in the novels.
Yes. Yes, definitely. And we wrap up Star Trek movie stuff that we have. This is Star Trek 6. I love all the cast photos from each of the movies. Every time I saw the team grow together, it made me happy. It made me think when I'm an adult, I'm going to have the same gang of friends all together. And it is not a reality. I know some of the kids from grammar school that I'll communicate with here and there through distance. I even have a friend from high school that I somewhat communicate with that moved to Korea. But, I mean, to see the whole gang together after 2 decades, it warmed my heart.
It was great to see the cast together one last time. And 6 was a pretty good movie.
Yeah. So, Next Generation. My brother and I watched it when it first came out, and we're so happy that we had our own Star Trek. And we were trying to buy as much Star Trek stuff as we could at that time. And actually, they were producing a little bit more. It wasn't the vast majority like Star Wars was doing, but there was still some stuff out there. What do you think about this mug?
This one's nice too. I like the Enterprise D.
Mm-hmm. Action coming at you. Beautiful. This is a larger size mug. Schematics. I think it's beautiful. I used to work in a blueprint shop, and I was working in the shop when they were still making blueprints, which is a different process than standard printing. Now, if you were to get printing now, it wouldn't come out blue in the background, white like this. It would come out white with black. So I was working in the print shop when they were still making blueprints, using the chemicals to photo energize the outlines. So I love this old style of graphics. What do you think?
It's kind of interesting. I mean, yeah, you can recognize it as blueprints.
Mm-hmm. And you learn something from it as well.
Yeah, putting a layout design and having it labeled, that's neat too.
This was a gift from our friend Galen Stahl from the local Sherlock Holmes fan club here in Nashville, Tennessee. He bought it, wasn't so much of a Star Trek fan, but he was a Sherlock Holmes fan. So he got it because it had the Sherlock Holmes reference. And this is one of those mugs that when you fill it with water, it changes the graphics, but these things wear out within time.
And this is very nice. I always loved Data as Sherlock. The picture, yeah, the way it is now, the picture isn't very clear.
But the idea is when it was just a holodeck, and when you heat the water, it shows who's in the holodeck. Now, some of the larger ones we actually took out of the boxes. The seal's already broken, so for those ones we'll take them out. This one we're going to unbox on camera too. So this is one of those tankards, super size. This is another limited edition of 3000. All good things, commemorating the last episode of TNG. 10th anniversary special edition Spencer gift collection. I remember where I worked, there was years ago during this time period in the 90s, there was a Spencer gift shop in the local strip mall, and I would go there just looking at all the Star Trek stuff because Spencer had an agreement with Star Trek. They had so much, Spencer and also Hallmark, because Hallmark was making the ornaments. So Star Trek you were able to find Star Trek stuff all over the place in the 90s. Now, this is a Borg mug, and, whoa, wrong fandom. This is another curiosity. I find this interesting because they did not have the name for Star Trek Generations yet. So, it says Star Trek 7 Now. What would you think if that's what the movie was called?
Odd name for a movie, Star Trek 7 Now.
And this is a plastic mug, pretty flimsy. You could tell it was a giveaway, some kind of promotional item. I don't have as much information on this as I would like. If anybody knows the story behind this, please let us know in the comments. This is one, if you are a longtime attendee of DragonCon in Atlanta, you will be familiar with the Trek Track. And my better half uses this for her pencil holder on her desk. Tell us the story about this mug.
So the Trek Track at DragonCon, and of course this one, it has the year on it, so you know when it came from. It's 4th of July weekend, and most people don't know that it wasn't always Labor Day weekend. So this was 1999, and you see how Trek Track is spelled T-R-A-K, because that was the way they spelled it back when Eric Watts ran it. Now it's T-R-A-C-K. But back then, I bought this mug in the track room. Let's see, they said that if you buy coffee in this mug, then you can bring the mug back every year and get a free refill of coffee for as long as, Eric Watts was running the Trek Track, which he isn't anymore. But this is a great mug, and right now this is actually the oldest Star Trek mug I have, as far as when I acquired the mug.
Yeah, not as an adult collector buying things
Right.
at conventions, but actually first purchasing something, right?
Right. The first one I purchased, I did purchase one more before this, but it broke. I no longer have it, so that's why this one now is the oldest one that I own.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm proud to have it. They don't have these anymore.
Nice piece of DragonCon history here. I remember when this came out, I bought this stamp. We're talking about the stamp, not the mug. I actually was so happy that Star Trek got recognition on a United States stamp. We know the rules for stamps, at least at that time. I don't know if it's changed, but you couldn't have any living person on a stamp, so they said they couldn't make stamps with the crew on it. So the way they got around it is putting the ship on it.
So nice for the 33rd anniversary. A nice picture of the Enterprise.
This is hard to show up on film, but it's a solid black glossy mug with silver highlights. United Federation of Planets. This type of mug, if you put it in a microwave, I believe it'll start sparking. What do you think about this?
It looks good. Yeah, it looks much better in person than it does on the video. But I like it. I like the color scheme and everything. I mean, it's very chic, with the silver.
It's a much larger mug, that wide mouth to it. Deep Space Nine. It's more of a kind of like a comic book style graphic to it instead of a photo, and it commemorates the episode Babel. Made by Applause, 1994. What do you think about this mug?
It's okay. It's interesting. So they made a mug that was just for one episode.
I want the move along. Is it called Move Along Home or
Yeah,
right? I
you want
want that.
that one.
I'm one of the few people that likes that episode. And if you talk to anybody that's into gaming, they tend to like that episode. I loved it to be in the game. I understood it as soon as it came out. Why there's so much vitriol for that episode, I have no idea. But Babel was a good one too. Another Deep Space Nine mug. I have a shirt that matches this, which I got at the Star Trek Experience in Las Vegas. And this is another classy mug. Solid black with just gold and silver highlights. Doesn't show up as well on camera, but to see it shimmer in real life is gorgeous. What do you think?
It's a nice looking mug. Yeah.
Speaking of Star Trek The Experience in Las Vegas, these are two mugs. I say two mugs. We have another one in the cabinet that's black that matches this. So it's a mug and a coaster set. And they're made of plastic, very durable plastic, heavy duty. It's not a child's mug. When I make your breakfast in the morning, these are the type of mugs I put your cottage cheese and your yogurt in and berries. Do you think they taste better when I put your breakfast in Star Trek mugs?
Yeah, I think it does taste better.
So we were initial supporters of Ares Studios, the Axanar project, and we got these mugs. Got this one from Ares Studios and this one for the USS Ares. And it's a heavy duty mug, high quality. It's not a sticker or anything. I just love the way they look and feel.
Yeah, these are nice mugs made for based on the fan films.
This is a commemorative mug. It's a larger size one for an event entitled One Weekend on Earth, Star Trek 30 in Huntsville, Alabama. I remember reading Starlog magazine and I very much wanted to go to this convention, but I did not. But I married someone who did. So tell us about this con in Huntsville.
Well, it was huge. It was like, yeah, it was the biggest and most expensive con I had been to at the time. And it was a lot of fun. It was at the big arena, the Von Braun Center in Huntsville. And my membership included a trip to the Space Center as well. But I never made it to the Space Center because I was just having so much fun at the con. I just stayed at the con at the Von Braun Center, and they had a lot of actors from the show. I know it was the first time I saw William Shatner in person. I had already seen all the other people from TOS was there, but Shatner was my first time seeing. Plus a lot of the other people, and plus some of the behind the scenes people. I know they had like Andre Bormanis, the science advisor, and they had like Judith and Garfield Reeve Stevens were there. Just a lot of great guests.
I was reading their books like crazy in the mid 90s. They were some of my favorite authors. Yeah, what a great piece of memorabilia. One of my gripes is there still is not enough Voyager memorabilia from that time period. We know that Enterprise gets a lot of heat for saying that there's oversaturation of Star Trek during that time period, late 90s, early 2000s, but I say Voyager too, being a Star Trek collector. I had a hard time finding Voyager stuff, so I think this is a treasure right here. Voyager mug.
And this one's a nice looking mug too, having the ship with a Borg cube, and that's just a very nice
Yes,
picture.
yes. This is your boyfriend symbol.
Vulcan Science Academy. I mean, yeah, I like any of the Vulcan stuff too. So this is cool. So it's got the IDIC symbol on it.
And one of the few pieces of Star Trek Enterprise memorabilia we have. We try to buy everything we can Enterprise because there's just not enough of it out there. There's only one, believe it or not, one comic book that features a story of Enterprise. There's only roughly a dozen novels or so. So we were so excited to see this officially licensed mug. What do you think about it?
This one's a nice looking mug too. I like how so the graphic on it is the patch that they had on their uniforms.
And last but not least, in our mug collection, one holds a special place in our hearts. This is the last mug we're going to talk about. And I love the symbol because I understand the reference to the symbol. This is going old school from the 70s, Franz Joseph. And we received this in a white Mugatu at our last USS Athena Christmas party. Tell us about it, baby.
So this was designed by our Starbase One commander, Phil Barnes, and so it's a symbol that he designed, and he made the mug. So it was one of the gifts from the White Mugato.
Absolutely gorgeous. As soon as I opened it up, I knew what it was from, and we will always treasure this. Some things we don't drink out of at all. This one we have in our rotation for drinking, and I hope I never break it because over the years I have broke some of them. But it puts a smile on my face every time I see it because I love so many of our members in the USS Athena and in Starfleet Command. I'll put a link in the show notes if you want to join us on the Athena and be part of our next gathering. And this has been wonderful looking over our mug collection.
Great times.